Hi Math 5-4. This is the video for lesson 120. It's our last full lesson. Woohoo! It's on page 552 and it is scheduled for Thursday, April 23rd. Because this lesson is done on the same day, class day, that we would be doing our investigation also, and there'll be another video for that. But because it's on the same class day as an investigation, there is no time test for this day. So you were officially done with time test for Math 5-4. So if we were all together, we'd be celebrating. So celebrate that you have completed your time test for Math 5-4. It's a big accomplishment. You have come a long way. Okay, let's jump into lesson 120. It's dealing with mixed numbers and adding and subtracting mixed numbers that have different denominators. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of our fraction rules here. Just a little review real quick. Our fraction rules, first of all, if we do math, we add, subtract, multiply, divide, and we come up with an improper fraction as our answer, we should always change that to a mixed number or whole number. Our second one is if we are adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, and we come up with a fraction that can be reduced, we should reduce it to its smallest numbers available for the fraction. Okay, so those are our fraction rules. So let's come down and start doing some of our problems together. So we have, in this mixed number, I have 6 1/6 plus 1 1/3. When I look at my problem, I see immediately that my denominators are not the same. So I am going to have to fix that. And I'm going to have to use the multiples of 3 and 6 to fix that. So I'll come over here and I'll write my multiples. So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 4 is 12. 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times 2 is 12, 6 times 3 is 18, and 6 times 4 is 24. So I need to find my lowest common multiple, least common multiple, which when I look here, I see 6 is my least. It has 12 also, but I don't want one of my bigger ones. I want the very lowest one. So 6 is going to be my common denominator. So I'm going to change my mixed numbers to give them the denominator of 6. So I look at my first one. 6 1/6 is already there. So I'm just going to copy that one over and say, yay, that's something I don't have to change. Okay, 1 1/3 is not there. So now I need to take 1 1/3 and I need to change it to have a denominator of 6. Now I'm just changing the fraction piece of my mixed number. The 1 is going to stay the same, so I can copy that right over. Okay, so I'm just working with 1/3 right here. This is what I'm working with, 1/3. And I have to make 1/3 equal some amount of sixths. So again, to make an equivalent fraction, we're going to have to take that 3, multiply it by some number to get to 6. And that number is 2. So I'm going to multiply times 2. And I do that to my denominator. I have to do that to my numerator. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 2 is 2. Excuse me. Okay, so now my numbers have common denominators. Now I can work with it. Let's see what we've got. So I start with my fraction piece, adding it together. So I know that my denominators are common, so I'm just going to copy that straight down. Then I can add my numerators. 1 plus 2 is 3. Okay, so I'm done with my fraction piece for a second. I'm going to move to my whole number. 6 plus 1 is 7. So it looks like my answer is 7 3/6, but I have to follow fraction rule number 2 and always reduce my fractions. 3/6 can be reduced. remember, we have to reduce our fractions, we divide. Okay, so what number can both 3 and 6 be divided by is what I have to ask myself. So I know my final answer, my 7 is going to stay the same. So I'm going to just copy that down right there. But now I have to take 3/6 and I have to figure out what am I going to divide it by, both my numerator and my denominator, to make it a smaller fraction, to make the numbers smaller. Not necessarily the amount, but the numbers smaller. So 3 and 6, remember I can do their factors. When I'm dividing, I do their factors. So 1 times 3 gives me 3. 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Those are my factors for 6. So my common factor that is 3. My greatest common factor is 3. So I have to divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1. 6 divided by 3 gives me 2, 1/2. Another way to remember that is a rule we learned. Whenever the numerator is half of the denominator, your fraction equals 1/2. And 3 is half of 6, so that's equal to 1/2. That's another shortcut way to do it without having to go through the division part. Okay, so my answer, now I'm going to take I took 3/6 and I turned it into 1/2, so I'm just going to go write that with my answer. 7 and 1/2. Okay, so I took 7 and 3/6, reduced the 3/6 piece to 1/2, and then put the 1/2 in. Okay, let's look at some more and see some other examples. So this one is a subtraction. I look at my denominators and I see they are not the same. So I'm going to have to fix them. Okay, I've got to find out what I'm going to fix them to. So I have to go find my multiples. 6 and 12 are my two denominators. I'm taking those and doing the multiples over here. So 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. I can pretty much stop there because I see that one of my multiples matches up with my other denominator, but let's check it out. 12 times 1 is 12. Look at that. I have my least common multiple right there in 12. So I'm going to change my denominator to be 12. So 6 and 7/12 doesn't change at all because it was already 12. I just copy that one straight over. But I have to change this one. So I have 1 and 1/6. My 1's not going to change. I can copy that one straight over. But I have to change my 1/6 to something over 12. So I can come over here and do 1/6 equals how many 12ths? And I know I have from 6 to 12, I have to multiply by 2. And so I have to multiply my numerator by 2 to end up at 2/12. So 1/6 is the same as 2 over 12. Now I have a common same denominator, so it's something I can work with. So let's look at it. So I know since my denominator is common and the same, I'm just going to copy that down. 12, and I can add my numerators. 7 plus 2 is 9. Now I can work with my whole numbers. Oh, I'm subtracting. Okay, that's a mess. Hang on. Sorry, subtraction problem. Always write down your problem and pay attention. Better than me. All right, my denominator is still going to be 12 because no matter what, I'm adding or subtracting. So I just copy my denominator down once it's common. Now I'm subtracting. 7 minus 2 is 5. Okay, nothing changes in any of the stuff I've done to change it over to 12ths. All I did was mess up on this addition versus subtraction, okay? So everything's good except now pay attention to do the numerator minus the numerator to get 5. And now work with your whole numbers, and 6 minus 1 is 5. Okay, so you look at it and remember your fraction rules. The improper fraction to mixed number, that doesn't apply because we've got a mixed number already, so we're good there. And can I reduce it? Will 5 and 12 have any common factors that could be reduced? Well, 5 that could help me reduce this fraction, the only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. And 5 is not a factor of 12, so I'm at my reduced fraction. And that is the answer for that one. So your lesson practice problems are on page 553. And let's see. So as a bonus for listening to the video, this is practice problem D. And this is practice problem G. So that takes away 2. So all you'll have to do is 6 more, but at least that's 2 that you didn't have to do. Okay? All right, the next video you'll get from me will be for investigation 12. And that's our last class work together. So be looking for that video soon. It's actually one of my favorite investigations. I hope you'll like it. I love it. Bye.